Was Gutai a local response to international modernism? To say that Gutai was solely a response to the modern and abstract works of Europe and America during the early and mid-20th century ignores Japanese culture and the intentions of Gutai. Gutai was an art movement that began in 1954 under the guidance of Hiro Yoshihara. The emphasis was on works of art that challenged the boundaries of tradition. Their members explored new art forms that combined performance, interaction between works and audience, and of course painting. Gutai was not designed to limit or to push a direction onto the artists, but to encourage them to follow their own individual paths, creating an anti-individualistic form of expression. But there are a few guidelines that Yoshihara emphasized in the manifesto, stating that Gutai imposed no rules, that it was a movement of the free sight of creation, where they have actively pursued diverse experimentations, but to never imitate others, and to do something that's never been done before, do something that's new. Japan suffered greatly after their defeat in World War II. America occupied Japan in a way to help rebuild the damaged cities and repair the economy. They encouraged a free market capitalist system, which of course brings along other sociological effects such as globalization. New communication and transactions between Japan and the West developed both ways. Two of Jackson Pollock's paintings travelled to Japan in the 1951 for the Contemporary Painting of the United States and France exhibition at the Osaka Municipal Museum of Art, 3 years before the formation of Gutai. Yoshihara was alone in his support towards the work of Pollock in the Japanese art world. The biggest support and encouragement for the Gutai came from the West came from the art critic Michael Tapiel. Tapiel celebrated art of another kind, under the movement informal that dominated the European approach to abstract painting in the 1940s and 50s. Two Japanese artists, Hiroshi Domoto and Soshi Tomaga, were a part of this movement and introduced their activities to Gutai. Yoshihara says that they were sympathetic to their ideas, as their art was free and demanded something fresh and newborn, but they found they did not understand their use of line, colour and form in relation to the characteristics of matter, therefore were unable to understand their rejection of abstraction. Gutai explored the boundaries of art by making art about the interactions and experiences rather than the work itself. They illustrated this through their performance pieces and their outdoor exhibitions. In 1955, Gutai staged their first exhibition in the Osaka City Park on the riverbank. Experimental outdoor exhibition of modern art to challenge the Midsummer Sun, followed by Outdoor Gutai Art Exhibition in 1956, were exhibitions that contained large-scale, site-specific installations such as Yoshihara's Please Draw Freely, a blank panel with instructions to draw on the surface with the given paints and markers. This opens the work up for the creativity of others and reminds the audience of their own creativity and freedom. Sadamasama Montaga's work, Water, embraced nature and everyday materials. Sheets of plastic connected the trees in the park together, while coloured water applied tension to the plastic, and the wind moved the work. Being able to walk around and under the work gave the audience endless views and therefore endless interpretations of the installation. Kazushiraga's Please Come In formed more than just a three-dimensional work, as the cut and painted logs were organised so that the ends of the logs formed a painting that can be viewed endlessly. The works invited materials to react with the natural forces of sun, wind and rain. Shozu Samamoto's work, created using a cannon, moved and changed under the forces of nature due to being a large plastic painted sheet that hung above from the trees. This innovation of exhibition pushed artists to consider new approaches to space, time and material, and remove the formal traditions that they saw as limiting modern art. What challenged the traditional forms of exhibitions with Gutai's outdoor exhibition were that they were in public parks in Osaka. This meant that those who visited did not always come specifically for the exhibition. This changed the typical audience of an art exhibition. therefore reaching a wider audience of everyday people and having a larger impact on the public. Unlike traditional exhibitions, Gutai's outdoor exhibitions were open 24/7 for 2 weeks. The group announced that the experiment is to take art out of the closed rooms, exposing the works to the natural forces of sun, wind, and rain. Play was important to the success of the first installation, as it engaged the general public who were present and interactive with these site-specific installations. Publicity was an important part of Gutai. They engaged with large audiences within Japan in their outdoor exhibitions, as it was a contrast to the oppressiveness of wartime culture that many in Japan still felt affected by. Visitors were encouraged to think, play, and create for themselves. But those not present in a shire were unable to experience the installation apart from viewing photographs. Gutai, being based in a shire, was removed from the busy art scene in Tokyo. By using publications, telecommunications, and travel, they created a reach that extended to France, the Netherlands, Italy, and the United States. The Gutai Journal functioned as a platform for artistic exchange, both domestically and internationally. In 1957, Shozo Shimamoto sent issues 2 and 3 of the Gutai to Jackson Pollock. This was a catalyst in the group's international correspondence, including conversations with the art mail pioneer Ray Johnson, resulting in his work being published in issue 6 of Gutai. The journals included pictures of the group's exhibitions and artwork, along with articles by Gutai members juxtaposed with photographs of works by their international peers. They treated this journal as an extension of the exhibition and experimented with the magazine as an artistic medium. They created an international common ground of experimental art due to their worldwide reach of the publication of this journal. Gutai formed connections with multiple artists and movements such as Jackson Pollock and art and abstract expressionism, Alan Capro and happenings, Michael Tapiel and art informal. These connections led to their first exhibition outside of Japan in 1958 at the Martha Jackson Gallery in New York City. They later exhibited in the United States, Paris, Turin, Amsterdam, and Johannesburg. As their international reach grew, many critics and collectors and artists visited the artists and their communal gallery in Osaka. This included John Cage, William de Kooning, Clement Greenberg, Peggy Guggenheim, Jasper Jones, Yoko Ono, and Robert Rauschenberg. Gutai is more than abstraction. They wanted to go beyond abstraction. They sought for a centrifugal departure in the light of the centripetal origin of abstraction. They believed that by combining human qualities and material properties, they could concretely comprehend abstract space. Kazuo Shiraga was considered the most abstract of the Gutai artists. His work was regularly compared with the work of Jackson Pollock, and today I'm going to compare these two artists even more. Jackson Pollock is the face of American abstract expressionism, even today. His work was seen as revolutionary and was even used by the state as an example to other countries, illustrating the cultural and individual freedom within America. Pollock used gestural movements with brushes and sticks to dribble and splatter paint across large canvases that he placed on the ground. While expressing the force of gravity on his works, he was constantly aware of his actions, with his materials consciously deciding the composition of his works. Alan Pro saw Pollock struggling with the limits of painting, as did Yoshihara. This encouraged Gutai artists to re-examine the relationship between representation and expression, questioning materials, relationship to time, and the two-dimensionality of painting. Shiraga's challenged the notion behind Pollock's work, pushing the freedom of abstract lines. Between 1952 and 1955, Shiraga abandoned Japanese-style painting and the use of brushes by replacing them with a knife, then his own fingers, before ultimately arriving at his feet, a means of expressing himself with his own body. Shiraga's feet painting was trying to eliminate the human awareness and paint at random. Schrager developed his method by placing large canvases on the ground underneath a rope attached to the ceiling of his studio. His wife Furuko maintained the tension, leaving her involved to be a collaborator rather than an assistant, due to her ability to judge the works in progress while occupying the same dimension as her husband. By using the ropes to suspend himself above the canvas, Schrager became one with the work as he glides over the surface. The sheer speed at which he moves across the surface of his canvas left him no time to control the outcomes of his work. They also satisfied the goals of Yoshihara, that is described in the manifesto as exalting matter and guiding it into a place where the spirit dwells. Schrager's method was directionless, spinning about on ropes without looking down. He only decided when to stop and start, therefore allowing his body to depict the subconscious, creating a new effect in the viewer, which is where Schrager drew the line of contrast with Pollock. Schrager showed the spiritual power of abstraction. It brings together the body and mind, energy and meditation. This new form of action painting awakened Schrager with the connection and sensation of direct and violent contact between his body and the materials. The fundamental difference between Pollock and Schrager's work is that Pollock moved around a canvas as he applied paint, whereas Schrager was in the painting. Yoshihara believed that the work of Pollock revealed the scream of matter itself, that is, cries of the paint and enamel. Pollock's work, in comparison to Schrager's, looked controlled, conscious, restricted and shallow, while Schrager's foot paintings appeared to be full of life, spiritual and free. Yoshihara provided a creative space for his artists. He looked at the art of the West and saw issues with their freedom and representation of emotion. In the Gutai manifesto, he writes, "It is a primitive art and various art movements after Impressionism that managed to convey to us a feeling of life, however inert. The movement extensively used matter, that is paint, without distorting or killing it, even when using it for the purpose of naturalism, as in pointillism and Fauvism. In any case, these styles no longer move us, they are things of the past." The question is, it is not the question that Gutai was influenced by International Modernism. Exhibitions like the contemporary painting of the United States and France highlighted for Japanese artists the difference between traditional Japanese painting and Western modernism. What you see in Gutai is a development of the abstraction of art. If the ideology of abstract art can start and develop within Western culture alone, why is it not possible that Japan had the same parallel artistic development? Japanese artists treated abstraction differently in comparison to their Western contemporaries. This is due to cultural differences. They focused on the performance and experience of their work. Gutai was not a movement about self-expression, but rather about the expression of matter. Yoshihara writes in the manifesto that Gutai art does not alter matter or distort matter, but rather imparts life to matter. Gutai worked from a group to display ephemeral interactions of spirit and matter within the installations, while welcoming viewers to interact with the sensation. Thank you.